Boom, here we are, Sports Bit, Betting Insight Today 2.0, Pauly and Teddy. Welcome to May, baby. That much closer to football season. It is Tuesday, big game breakdown, doubleheader NBA playoffs. We'll turn the shot clock on as well, recap what we liked, what we didn't like from the draft, and we'll give out a win total already in the NFL, although we'll get to those later in the week. And how about one shot putting up Big Ten win totals as well? So that's coming up later on Sports Bit. And later in the month, team previews in the NFL. All right, Teddy back from Boston. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. You must respect your opponent. You can't get overconfident and read your own press clippings. That's what happened with the Sixers last night. Bet up from 2.5 to 5. The total from 210 down to 205. They had won 20 of 21. Routed in game one at Boston. Gave up 117 points. The defense was, look at it. Horford, 26. Rozier, 29. Tatum, 28. 17 threes for Boston. Only 5 for Philadelphia.
And when you look at the box score, you're going to come away with, hey, Boston was hitting threes. Philly wasn't. No big deal. Just one of those games. If you watch the game, it felt like Philly was never in it. The Sixers never made a serious run at any point in the contest. They trailed at the end of one, and it seemed like that was that. Brett Brown, quote, give the Celtics credit. I never thought we were in the game. We're going to have to fix some things. I'm going to have to back up my words with our group. Another quote, I thought this one of our poorer defensive games. I think to look at this game defensively, offensively, this isn't who we are. But bottom line for bettors, that's who Philadelphia was last night. Ton of Sixers money, obviously, with the injury problems continuing for Boston.
Yeah.
Ton of money on the under in that contest. Books got to keep all of those bets, side and total. Bad result for bettors, good result for the house as Boston wins and covers game one, and it flies over the total.
Yeah. That was embarrassing. No Brown. Also, the job that Horford has done on Ben Simmons. They're 81 points per 100 possessions this year when Horford was on Simmons. He did a good job as well. Game 2 Thursday. How about that? That series price touched $5 on the Sixers as well. I didn't understand this one. The Twins 102 up to 120. They are 0-6 in games started by Lance Lynn. And the Twins, they've lost like 10 of 11 or whatever. Free fall mode. Horrible road trip against the Yankees and Rays. And it continued on the homestand where they lost the series to the Reds. That was Aaron Sanchez for the Blue Jays yesterday, too. That was an odd move.
Sure. And what did we talk about going into the season? We talked about Minnesota specifically as a team that looked a little bit overvalued, a team that maybe the prospects are getting more love than they deserve early on. Twins have been a bet against squad. All the Minnesota money last night, the books got to keep it. Bad result for the bettors, good result for the house.
All right, bad for the books. The Diamondbacks win again. They beat the Dodgers 13 of the last 14 regular season meetings. They face Kershaw tonight. $1.13 up to 140. They win 8-5. They became the first National League team in 111 years to start the season by winning their first 9 series. If they win tonight or tomorrow, make it 10 in a row. And they're big dogs against Kershaw, who has the worst ROI in all of baseball.
The irony, of course, is that big dog price. But the books are really caught in a dilemma when it comes to Clayton Kershaw right now. Because we're not talking about a guy who had 1 good year or 2 good years. We're talking about a guy who's been arguably the best pitcher in baseball this decade, who's made his backers so much money. The Kershaw bandwagon isn't necessarily going to fall apart or dissipate despite a slow start for the Dodgers. But you talked about Arizona and how well they played, and I firmly believe this is real from the D-backs. They're going to be in this race. They were a playoff team last year and have every bit the look of a playoff team again this year. But the Dodgers, I don't like anything I'm reading. I don't like anything I'm seeing. And I'll tell you this, I'm not laying the price with Kershaw tonight. No way, no how.
Horrible. Seager out for the year. The hits keep on coming. 4 games under 500. Disaster ROI. They're in trouble. 8 games behind the Diamondbacks already. Red Sox 220 up to 240. The Royals have yet to win a game started by Hamill, and the Red Sox have yet to lose a game started by Rodriguez. 10-6 Red Sox. Bogarts with the grand slam. Cubbies 170 up to 190. They beat the Rockies 3-2. Lester pitched well. Cubs staff's been terrific lately. And the Giants 155 up to 170. They beat the Padres 6-5.
Yeah, we probably should have used the Giants as a bad beat of the night. 2 outs in the 9th inning, nobody on, or they have one on. Rally back to beat San Diego. The Padres bullpen does them in a big way. The Giants took a bunch of money in that ballgame and ended up cashing. Over comes through as well. And you talk about the Red Sox Royals. You know where the money's going to come in. It's yes. Now we're in May, first day of May, but we're starting to see the prices on the favorites in these mismatch games reflect the nature of the differential between these two teams. Boston's good. KC isn't. The bettors got it right last night in that contest.
All right. And one play of the day winner, Astros 145 up to 160. 7 in a row at home against the Yankees. How good is Morton, Teddy? My God. He's in the last 19 starts, he's averaging 10 and a half strikeouts per 9. I think his record's now like 11-3. It's ridiculous. ERA is low, coming off a bad start as well. He shut down the Yankees. They win 2-1. Great job by Morton again.
Sure, and that's one that we got half right, and we're able to cash our tickets, even though we only got it half right, because Sonny Gray pitched pretty well himself. But we talked about Charlie Morton as being a significantly undervalued commodity, a guy who's pitched as well as anybody in baseball so far this season, and dating back to the end of last year, and a guy with such a long track record of disappointment and mediocrity. The betting bandwagon's been a little bit slow to get behind Charlie Morton. I don't know if that's the case anymore. We saw Astros steam last night. Another dominant effort means we'll likely see Astros steam again the next time Charlie Morton hits the hill.
You following Hader with the Brewers? You see this kid, this reliever? He struck out every batter he faced.
So, and we talk a lot about bullpens and the importance of bullpens in MLB betting. Here's Milwaukee, who's been a top ROI team this year, a team that has absolutely made their backers money. What's going on? They get in the 9th inning. Last night, they got in the 7th inning, and the game's over. The shutdown closer matters, especially smaller market team without the elite starters. Milwaukee's a moneymaker, and I think they're going to continue in that role. That was impressive last night. Something has that ever been done before?
I don't know. That was 2 2/3 strikes everybody out. What a performance! I'm sure. Yeah, sure. It's that I can't believe it. One tough push in hockey. Total was 6. Tampa Bay and Boston. It was 2-1 with 6 minutes left. Tampa scores. Boston gets a soft goal, and then the empty netter with 25 seconds left. 4-2 Tampa. 3's the magic number. 5-0 in the playoffs when they score at least 3 goals. Wow, these second round matchups are terrific. And the Knights win in overtime last night as well after blowing a 2-goal lead. They lead that series 2-1. Here we go. Big game breakdown. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Real SportsBit. He's at Teddy_Covers at SportsBit Live. And thanks for checking us out. Thanks to Intertop Sportsbook. 22 years online. Sign up, deposit, and win. Eastern Conference Round 2. Cleveland and Toronto, Game 1 tonight. Series price, Toronto minus $2. Take back plus 170 on the Cavs. When is LeBron? I think the last time he was this big of a dog in the Eastern Conference playoffs was 2008 with his final year with Cleveland when he left and went to Miami. He's a 6.5 point dog tonight in Game 1. Depends where you shop. 215 the total. That's some steam on the under. It was 218, but 110 points per 100 possessions in the series against Washington. A lot to like with the Raptors offense. They were the only team in the league in top 5 efficiency, defense and offense. Their defense struggled at times against the Wizards, but let's start here. The bench is back because Van Vliet's back, he only played 3 minutes, but going into Game 6 was great in the second half, played a solid Game 6. The bench ran him out in the second half. They were terrific. Siakam, Pirtle, Miles, and Wright, 32 points per game in the Washington series. It is a total mismatch when you look at the benches. The best in the league, they go 11-12 deep, and LeBron can trust nobody on those guys they acquired at the trade deadline.
Nobody, but at the same time, when you read the quotes from the Cavs after their win in Game 7 against Indiana, well, LeBron's at least saying there's some chemistry. Quote, "We started the game with a unit that we knew, all 5 of us. We knew what we could get out of each other. We've been in situations before. We've played in big games before. So that's a comfort to start the game." Of course, when it comes to the rotations for Cleveland, let's just say there have been issues, and there will continue to be issues for the Cavs. But the fact that Cleveland was able to get out of the first round in a series where nobody except LeBron scored more than 20 points in any game. It was LeBron and nobody. Game 7, wow. Tristan Thompson stepped up and probably played, I don't think that's probably, played his best game of the series. But the consistent supporting cast hasn't been there. I'm with you on the concept that Van Vliet matters a lot. Probably matters more than the markets are accounting for him. The Raptors in the second half against the Wizards in Game 6, you said it. They ran him out, and it was the bench unit that did it. Toronto's bench was as good as any in the Eastern Conference all year, and with a healthy Van Vliet, that is a legitimate edge for the Raptors. That being said, I don't know how much Ty Lue's going to use his bench tonight. He certainly hasn't put LeBron on the bench very much so far here in the postseason.
Well, so they have the depth. Maybe Cleveland gets tired. Maybe the moment's too big for Toronto. If they can't win this series, I'm done with them. I mean, this is a horror show. You're a favorite now. You're the 1 seed against the 4. How about this now, where LeBron now they went 1-6 ATS in the Indiana series. How about LeBron after Game 7? I'm burned out. I'm tired. He played every game this season, and he averaged 41 minutes in the series against Indiana. He's saying that after Game 7, and now short turnaround, Game 1 tonight, and every other game in every game in this series is every other day.
Yeah, exactly. 1 on, 1 off. No rest for the weary for Cleveland. That being said, Dwayne Casey doesn't believe it. I know that LeBron ranked was he 1 or 2 in the NBA in minutes in the regular season? Whatever. He was right near the top, played an enormous number of minutes. He averaged 41 minutes in the series against Indiana, played 43 in the decisive Game 7 on Sunday. The quote, "I'm not thinking about Toronto until tomorrow. I'm ready to go home. Can we? I'm tired." And then, of course, the quote from Dwayne Casey says, "You believe he's tired? I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see him sitting over on the bench." And I haven't seen that very much because he's playing at such a high level. It's amazing the type of condition he's in. We're not banking on that. Casey, again, he's on a mission, but there's certain things we want to do to make him expend some more energy. And there's a variety of ways we can do that. I don't want to sit up here and give away our game plan, what we want to do, how we want to do it, what we want to take away, what we want to give them. That wouldn't be prudent on my part, but I'm convinced that Casey and the Raptors are going to do their best to gas LeBron tonight and throughout the course of this series. They're going to make him work hard. And if LeBron is gassed, might be a short series for the Cavs.
You agree with the move on the total? Because Cleveland had the second worst defense in the league. Indiana was good, but they weren't explosive. Indiana was 12th in offensive efficiency. Toronto was 3rd, and they keep coming at you. And remember, those last 2 regular season meetings were shootouts that they played. Toronto had like a 74-point half in one of those games.
Sure, but the move on the total appears to be more based on pace than it is on efficiency numbers. And what we've seen so far in the postseason, the Cavs haven't been trying to push the pace. And while the Raptors were efficient, they're not a team that's really trying to push the pace. So I think that move is all about expected possessions, not about expected efficiency.
All right.
You're right about the concept here. Like if Toronto can't get past Cleveland here, look, the Cavs knocked the Raptors out of the playoffs last year. They swept them out of the playoffs last year. They knocked them out of the playoffs 2 years ago. This year, Toronto doesn't have the best player, but they probably have the better team. Raptors are supposed to take care of business in this series, although when you talk about Cleveland and the roles we like them in, we hate them at home. They've been much better on the road. They've been much better catching points, ATS, than in any other role they've had this season.
Yeah. Thought it was huge, Game 6, for their confidence. They get 19 minutes out of Van Vliet. The Raptors have been 0-23 all time in road playoff games when they trailed at the half before they won Game 6. All right, number 2. Warriors at home tonight against the Pelicans, the late game. Curry is back and no limits restriction. 10.5, 226.5 the total. The adjusted series price, minus 3,500 on Golden State, and the take back 13-1 on the Pelicans. They have won 13 in a row at home, playoff games, 2 shy of the record, speaking of the Warriors, and they're 25-2 in their last 27 against the Pelicans. 27 from Clay, 26 from Durant, that big 24-2 run in the second quarter. They also held the Pelicans to 40 points in the middle quarters. They ran them out. They blitzed them. The stat I liked, 33 assists on the 44 makes. I love the over, Teddy. I know we like the Game 1 under, but that pace was ridiculous. I can't believe it stayed under by 1 point. Here's what had to happen for it to stay under. A 19 and a 20-point quarter in the second half, and Golden State scored 12 points in the final 8 minutes, and it still got to 224. That pace was absurd.
Yeah. And now, of course, with that pace, we've got some guy named Steph Curry back in the lineup. All right, first game back for Curry. And he's been in and out of the lineup a couple times this year. So we say, will he be ready? Will the Warriors be clicking on all cylinders? Because you're absolutely right. No minutes restrictions. And, of course, he's only listed as probable for tonight. We have seen this line. It's drifting. The 10.5s are disappearing, minus 11 at most shops as we speak. There's been a move within the last few minutes towards Golden State. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Warriors money. But to get back to the point, when you talk about Steph, first of all, the quote out of practice yesterday from Klay Thompson, I feel like a fan. I can't wait to see him out there in practice. He looks as ready as ever. So the 3 previous times that he's come back from an injury this year, Steph Curry scored 38, 24, and 29 in just 28 minutes in his first game back. I think the Warriors click on all cylinders from game 1 with their point guard back on the floor, despite the fact that he's been off the floor for a long time. But look, Pauly, the markets haven't made any significant adjustment for Curry in versus Curry out. There's still a fair bit of betting market support for the Pelicans after their first-round dominance over Portland.
123 points without him. And as I mentioned, 12 points in the final 8 minutes. Pelicans a little teed off after the game. Free throw disparity, 32-11. But we said something that happened in the Portland series would not happen against Golden State. Playoff Rondo wouldn't go off. They would contain Holiday. That happened in game 1, and they did a decent job on Anthony Davis as well. And Green played some phenomenal defense too. And you just see the mismatch they present out there with so many guys that can score with the Warriors now that they're down to business. But I like the over in this one as well. All right, time to turn the shot clock on. Who had the best NFL draft? I'm with you, Teddy. I think the rankings, to give a grade is ridiculous right after this. But in any event, I'll start with this before we get to the play of the day. I thought Denver did a great job with John Elway. They luck out and get Chubb at number 5. I like Sutton, the wide receiver from SMU in the second round. They take the running back from Oregon, Freeman, in the third round. They also added Jewell from Iowa. They take the tight end from Wisconsin. I love the big thing to me is Case Keenum. I'm the president of the Case Keenum fan club. So I like the moves they made in the offseason. I thought the Broncos had a terrific draft.
I don't argue with the concept the Broncos had a terrific draft. But when you look at post-draft analysis, look no further than last year with the New Orleans Saints. Okay? The Saints had the best draft class in modern memory last year. They had impact players in every round, all over the place. You look at the post-draft grades, there were some mediocres, there were some bads, there was what's New Orleans doing. The pundits have no idea, and there's no way to predict which one of these rookies are going to nail it and which ones are going to come out and be flat. The experts, meaning the draft gurus, the GMs, the scouts, they get them half wrong. What do you think the pundits are going to do? Get them mostly wrong? Probably. That being said, there is one team that's under the radar that consistently draft well, and I like what Ozzie Newsome did once again. His last draft as a GM of the Ravens, Baltimore, 12 draft choices. They brought in a lot of talent. I think the Ravens, I'll call the Ravens with the best draft just because I trust the guy who did it, and I like the number of players they were able to bring in the later rounds, guys who have been steals for Baltimore in drafts past.
Yep. This supports your don't take a running back high or early argument. Kamara and Hunt went in the third round last year. Guess how that worked out. Yep. All right. Money time. Play of the day. Let's go. Broncos over 7 wins. 5-11 last year. Everything went wrong. Disaster. Injuries. Bad quarterback play. Joseph appeared to be in over his head. Not a rookie coach anymore. Big upgrade with Keatum at quarterback. They have some weapons. I love the draft. They will fix that defense. And I think they're definitely live in that division. Again, the John Gruden thing, that could be an unfrozen caveman lawyer potential there. If that old skit on SNL. Today's football, I don't understand. I've been away for 10 years, and I want to accumulate all these running backs and run the ball. And, crazy. I want to practice every day in bats. Not the rules, John. Can't do that anymore. And certainly, I like him. But who knows about Mahomes in Kansas City? and certainly the Chargers are the sexy pick but they blow games every year. They give games away. So I'll go over 7 with the Broncos with our play of the day, and we'll do more win totals coming up. Sound good? All right, good trip. You're back from Boston. How you feeling? The $28 lobster roll, things good?
Yeah, those Fenway lobster rolls are brutal, man. They're brutal for the bankroll, but they're good. But I'll tell you what, good to be back in Vegas. Exhausting trip. I hate going away for the weekend, flying back east. Had to do it, had fun. Good to be home. And we'll see you again tomorrow, right here on Sportsbet. Betting Insight today from SBRpicks.com.
Big Ten win totals tomorrow, baby.